Do you ever just sit there staring at the ceiling, wondering what's next? Like, what if everything I'm working for doesn't work out? What if the future isn't some grand adventure, but a slow, quiet disaster? They say trust the process, but what if the process is just leading me nowhere? The unknown. It's not just out there, it's in here, in my head, in my gut. And the worst part, no one really has the answers. We just keep moving, pretending we do. Now, that is the thought of many men. Yeah. Many men go through a lot of things in life, having struggles mentally, and the mental monsters of fear and worry keeps going, but you just keep pushing. And this month has been a month whereby women have been celebrated globally around the world. But then, why are men not celebrating one another? Mr. Wale Popo, I'm going to start with you. You are a veteran in the media industry, and of course, a top man. Why do you think men generally do not celebrate, one another?
Well, I feel men are just chilled. They just we don't. Women like to, with all due respect anyway, they like to oh, we're here, we're there, we're this, we're that. But men just go ahead, have fun, we're good.
Soft.
So we're not so keen on being everywhere. We just want to live our life and do what we do and get it done. So most men actually are okay sitting on a black table, doing what they do to get it done.
Taking a favorite libation.
Yeah, I guess that's it for most men. But of women, who are the people that do eyelashes and fix their hair and do nails and do all that? But the man just goes and gets a good haircut and it's good. So we're not too much into quote and unquote paparazzi. So we just do our thing and just live our life. Simple.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. So we'll go straight into our first quickfire. Nollywood actress Bamike Olawunmi Adenubuyan, better known as Bam Bam, has shared the recent encounter with a Nigerian police officer who stopped her. And of course, the Nigerian BB Naija star took to X to narrate how she was forced to give something when a police officer who she alleged was inappropriate and forceful asked her to show him love. Now, every one of us here at different times in our different lives has gone through one thing or the other. Now, I want to start by asking your experiences. I know you, the diplomat, will be careful with what you say. So I'm going to start with you. Please tell us your bad police experience.
Well, I'm sure at one point or the other we have all had a bad experience with whether it's the police or anybody, in life. But I off the top of my head, I don't think I can tell you that this is one thing that that has been bad. But of course, just as we have irate customers, we also have irate police officers, and we all pray that we don't meet police officers when they are not at their best, moods. Right? But one thing I've realized and one thing I've noticed is every police officer that I've ever met with, the first thing I say is good morning, officer, good afternoon, officer, good evening, officer. You see, one of the things I've realized about interfacing with police is if you put forward respect, they would reciprocate with respect. But if you look at the police,
what was that response?
If you look, I think it was coughing. It was actually coughing. Okay. But I mean, if you disrespect the police, then the police gets or feels a need to show you that I'm an authority.
Okay, please hold
Do you
that
understand
thought.
what I'm saying?
Hold that thought.
That's what I feel.
I respect what you've said,
yes,
and it's your opinion. Gang, since you were coughing it out, I would like to hear from you.
Let's cough it all the way.
Okay, here's the thing.
No, your experience first.
My experience. I've had good sides. I have friends that are in the police force. I have family members that are in the police force. And I've also experienced some bad eggs that I hope have not spoiled the rest of the crate or the rest of the basket. Okay. You get where I'm coming from. I grew up at some point in time in Abuja where when I remember the Apple 6 situation, it brings back so many bad memories. Okay. You get where I'm coming from. And I don't want to use that to judge the entire force. But there's this common denominator when you're on Nigerian roads that once you meet a checkpoint, regardless of who it is, it could be Mopo, it could be Army, it could be police. You just feel it would be easier to just give them something to ease your passage. And then it has gotten to the point that sometimes it's the norm that they just look forward for it and they just feel that if you want to just pass,
Just do the right thing.
Sometimes they assess what you drive, they assess what you look like, and they just expect shake body, something for the boys. And sometimes even if your papers are complete, sometimes you don't even want that delay. You just be like, what is it? 200, 500, 1,000? I had an aunt that never gave police a dime. But what she used to do, her car had a bottle of water, a loaf of bread, a bunch of bananas. And she felt people are out here on the roads and everything. They even started knowing her, where she would just give them, take this, drink water, do this and do that. Do you understand? And then we know the hardships that the police face, from minimum wage, how much they earn and whatnot, which almost justifies their attempt to demand for certain things on the streets of Nigeria. But it doesn't justify it. So I wasn't laughing or giggling, I was trying to clear my throat, but at the same time, I won't lie to you, it's so common that I'm surprised Bam Bam self should have known better, that if you don't want to waste your time, just settle there and move.
Okay, so
give them something, it won't cost you that much, just settle there and move.
So what are your thoughts, and have you experienced anything that was really ugly that, it was life-changing?
Okay, so for me, it's body language. Whenever I'm driving towards a checkpoint, first things first, I know I don't have any illegalities. My papers are complete, everything is complete. But once I get there, I look at the body language. Some of them have had a bad day. The guy has been in the sun all day, and you are in your AC, and you are feeling like a god. So there is already that. So the minute you get to the checkpoint, mine is body language. If he smiles, I smile. If he doesn't smile, it's good evening. What can I do for you? Even at times, by the time I'm getting to the checkpoint, I'm already bringing my papers out. They will be like, this one a problem. Or carry your wallet, they
Just go. Yeah.
So most of the time, I wouldn't say, and then I have an advantage. Funny enough, once I open my mouth and then they hear my voice, they'll be like, oh, leave this one. Make it go. And the way, like he said, it's the approach. They're human, for God's sake. They're having issues like we're having issues. So once you get to the checkpoint, the minute you start squeezing your face, they're already like, okay, let's go one-on-one.
Yes.
The thing say you get Chris,
I get power.
I will show you. So I'll advise most people to just chill. Because even, and like he said, depends on what you're driving. When they say that this guy is, I've had people that will be like, you look like a Yahoo boy. And the guy is an honest working person and he takes offense. So at the end of the day, for me, it's body language. You get to some of them that they are really like hot. There are different sets of policemen. There are some you will see, you will behave yourself. And there are some you see like, come on for road, they do this one. So for me, I've always been lucky. I thank God for that, because the approach for me to them is friendly. There's friendly and there's non-friendly. So once you get there, once you're non-friendly, they believe you have something to hide.
Exactly.
But when you get the officer, now wow, this son, now they try you. They feel like, oh, this guy he sympathizes with us. So they chill for you. When you get there, say, what is it? Okay, now let's go.
Okay, so we all agree. Sorry, before you give your summation, we all agree that this is a common act and it happens every time. Most times. Maybe not every policeman does it, but majority of the police officers are different checkpoints.
Like you said, they're living to the police barracks.
It doesn't happen every time, but it has happened so much that
it's becoming norm.
People feel it's the norm. So once you're approaching them, you just feel like, do I have something to give? Are my papers complete?
So, Dek, I want to ask you this question. So some people do it out of, you know what, let me help this officer. Let me try and, just do something. And some people do it out of fear of, I don't want to get into trouble. Now, when do we draw the line and say, okay, you know what, first things first, you're not supposed to even take money from people. And secondly, the people who are giving the money, are they also, irresponsible for doing that?
So there are two things. The first thing is, like you said, some people are afraid. Things can go south. All right? I've seen situations where the police is interacting with someone else, and then it gets to a point where there is, a
discharge.
Discharge. So there are people who get to the police checkpoint and they are already in that fear, that panic mode.
Yeah.
And all I want to do is figure out a way to get out of this. So if I have to give money to get out of it, I'll do that and leave.
Okay.
Now, on the other hand, like I've said, manner of approach is everything. Let me tell you something, and that's what I wanted to say. You see, I have a number of godfathers who are military officers, senior military officers, and senior police officers. I was driving with one of Nigeria's police commissioners. I don't want to say who. We were in the same vehicle, and a police officer stopped him and said, "Oga, calm down. Open your booth." He could have easily spoken to him
say,
and said,
so.
in the police, I am privileged because, I have a little bit of background with the police, but I know what to say to you.
Yeah.
We have languages that I can say to you. You know that I'm one of you,
Yeah.
all right?
Yeah.
But he taught me a lesson that day. You know what he did? He came down from the car, opened the boot for him. He checked. He said, "Okay, sir, please get into your car, sir. Let me see your documents." He brought out his documents. This is a senior police officer. He's a police commissioner, all right?
Could have just used his office.
He could have just said something,
Yeah.
all right? But he said, this is it. The guy saw his name. He said, "Sir, sir."
Begin shaking.
He said, "Sir."
Sorry, sir.
And you know what he said? He said, "You are doing your job. If you had asked me for money, you would have been in trouble." And then when we left that police post, he told me, he said, "Look, no matter who you are, you must respect the police first.
Yep.
If you're a general, you must respect the police before you now identify yourself. In fact, in most cases, you don't even need to identify yourself if you don't have anything to hide."
Yeah.
Watch
Because
them
so
do their
that's
job.
what it is.
Are you saying that most Nigerians disrespect the police?
Yes.
It's because of the bad ones in the force.
So the thing is, there are different ways to look at
You're
it.
saying yes.
No, there are different ways to look at it.
No.
And I'll say, with due respect to you, right? Some people, like I said, because we are already complacent with the fact that I can always give,
get away.
get
you know?
away. Do you understand? If we have gotten to a point where we can't get away, everybody will align. Everybody will know that this is wrong. We're not supposed to give. Do you know that if we get to a point where police looks at you and says, "Did you try to offer me a bribe?" and arrest you,
Everybody will sit
stop.
up.
Now that is why I
things will
was
stop.
saying we disrespect the police, because to answer one of the things you were saying earlier on, the giver and taker of a bribe are
both guilty.
They're both
Yeah.
guilty.
Exactly.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
But it has gotten to a point that we don't see it as giving or taking a bribe. I will not lie to you. In modern days, recent days, it has reduced drastically. But sometimes our impatience as Nigerians gets to us. If all your documents are correct, you have your license and everything is fine, you don't need to be worried about anything.
But-
You can actually, that's when you not that you confront them, but when they start asking you some other question, be like, "I have everything in order. Why are you taking it to another level?"
exactly.
Open your engine. Let me see
In
the
fact-
engine
but-
number.
but-
In fact,
No, no,
in
that
most
they-
cases, sorry, sir. In most cases, have you noticed that anybody that stops at a police checkpoint and tells you, "I'm so person," most cases
That's
they're
right.
fake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so-
but wait,
Yeah,
though,
let's say-
like
let's say
in most families, there's always a bad egg. In as much as you try to be as polite, respectful, or whatever, there's always a police officer who is just not good for the force. That no matter how you
Is it
try,
1 out of 10?
I'll say
6 out of 10.
I'll say 3 out of 10. Because they're looking at you at times, they're looking at you like, waiting they do this guy. Then secondly, we have some really, really bad eggs in the society. Who are the people who even promote all this
Such
bribery
things.
and
Yeah.
all that? So they see it as, okay, it's a norm. We are packed. Where's your paper? How many people actually have their papers in the first place? So they see it as a way of get out of jail free
Yeah.
card. So once they get there, even before the policeman will say anything, they know they don't have their insurance, they don't have their papers, and they go like, officer, take this one, hold on. So they actually promise, like he said, the day the officer says, "Are you trying to bribe me?" Things will start changing.
Okay, I think we've all said different
There's
things. I
a
have my
story
own
I would have
opinion.
shared with you now that
You want to
What-
share
what
your opinion
story?
with us?
there was a time in 2020,
Yeah.
2020, you remember that year that we need to delete?
Diet that never existed.
Amen.
It didn't exist.
Because as a journalist, I was privileged to be able to bypass a couple of checkpoints,
Yes,
get to work,
yes.
and give people certain information. And I'll never forget.
They call those essential
Services.
Essential services.
I will never forget a certain checkpoint, and this guy must have been a Yahoo boy.
Yep.
And then he was stopped and told he couldn't pass a certain point, and immediately he was collecting a policeman's details to transfer 50,000 naira to.
Oh, I see.
He was like, please, let's just leave this place and let's just.
You
take it."
understand?
So do you understand? Some people have even made it. If you've never given anything to police people, they wouldn't expect anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so all I can say after what you said is very simple. Police people, male or female, are human beings, and
Yeah,
should
for starters.
deserve to be respected.
Absolutely.
However, I think there's a lot more the government can do to help them, cushion some of the economical challenges that they're facing.
Yeah.
I know one thing for sure: no man or woman wants to beg, especially using your authority or position.
Yeah.